Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mining Now. I'm your host, Jared Downey. We have a part 3 with MacLean Engineering today. We've got Peter Black. He is the technical sales manager at MacLean Engineering. If you know anything about MacLean, you know they make some of the most, I would say, recognizable machines in the industry. You kind of see it, and you know it's MacLean Engineering. And Peter actually has one of the units in the background. So, Peter, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. I believe this is part 3 with MacLean, so it's good to have you on for that third episode.
It's great to join you, Jared. Yeah, we're very excited about this new product and looking forward to exploring it a little bit further with you and your viewers.
I'm curious. Your job is technical sales manager. So does that come with a technical background? Did you are you have you worked on the development side? Sort of what's your journey been with MacLean Engineering, or just in the industry in general?
Oh, well, in the industry in general, I've been in underground mining now for the best part of 30 years. It's not quite 30 years. I came to Australia around that, 28 years ago. Started in underground mining. My background was primarily in construction in Europe. I joined the underground mining community, as I say, when I came to Australia. I'm an electrician by trade. I got involved quite early in mobile equipment and really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the challenges that come with operating mobile equipment underground. So I kind of focused on that aspect of the industry in my career. And then I joined MacLean about after working for various OEMs throughout the industry.
Mm.
I joined MacLean about 13 years ago, primarily as a electrical service representative, and then I joined the sales team about 4 years ago now. And the technical sales is just reflects my kind of focus
Mm.
on some of the more uh, technical aspects, I guess, of operating equipment underground. Make sure that basically that's about it.
On that technical side, how technical do these discussions get? Again, we're going to get into specific machines. We're going to talk a little bit about MacLean Engineering, but I think it's nice for the audience to sort of understand where you're coming from because this is the third episode with MacLean. So
Yeah.
we've sort of touched on different topics with them. How technical do these discussions get with clients when they're trying to decide which machines go where? And it's a big investment for them. They've got people that need to operate these machines. There's new technology. We're going to talk about your electric machines, of course. That's a big thing with MacLean Engineering right now. From the mining operator side, are they getting quite technical? Or is it more once they provide the setup for their mine? Are you able to pretty quickly identify what machines fit where?
That side of it is I wouldn't say it's fairly straightforward, but from a technical aspect, Australia is very open to technology that improve operational performance,
Yeah.
and is very early to embrace this kind of technology, be that remote control, tele-remote control, autonomous technology, and then all of which that we're developing in house now. And because that discussion is with the customers is quite involved and is ongoing, it allows us to bake that into the design of some of these new machines as well.
Mm.
This ML5 has not been developed by MacLean specifically for what we think the industry needs. This is what the industry is telling us they
Right.
need. So that's why we've gone out there and put the time and effort into developing these types
I want
of
to get,
this type of equipment and application. Sorry,
yeah.
uh,
when I want to get really, we're going to get into some real specifics of the ML5. Before we do that, I wanted to just sort of zoom out a little bit about MacLean Engineering in Australia, and these, you'll talk to a producer, we'll get some notes, and I saw a note about the Olympic Dam. So I actually don't know what the Olympic Dam is, and I'm sorry to anybody in Australia that I should know what that is. But can you give us some context about that note? Because I saw it on the interview outline, and I wanted to touch on it before we sort of get into some specifics about the ML5.
oh no, that was just that was So if I was talking about an experience or some experience that I've had in the industry
Oh, I
prior to
see.
coming to MacLean's, and
Oh,
that we did a large construction project at Olympic Dam Mine, which is now a BHP mine in South Australia.
right. I
And
see.
we had up to yeah, we had up to 80 technical, mechanical fitters, engineers, electricians, and installers, all working on a project underground at Olympic Dam in South Australia. Now, during the installation of that construction project, 80% of the work is in the air, is actually at high level. So you're always
Oh,
working with elevated work platforms of some description, be that a scissor lift, a cherry picker, a telehandler, which are quite popular in certain parts of Australia,
mm,
or an IT. Now, we would basically, the group that I used to work with, we would wait for half a shift until an IT was available rather than take one of the other options to do the work at
mm,
heights that we needed to do. Because the productivity gains were there and that machine was so much more adaptable and flexible
mm.
working in the environment that we were working in. So it just kind of reinforced to me at least, and well, not me alone, but certainly the industry at large, that I'm not the only person who thinks this, that the IT is unbeatable as an elevated work platform in Australian mining conditions. That's
And
that was where that note came from.
so really what but you're saying so your crew would rather than you'd wait, you'd actually let the other machines go and just wait for that one specific one or those that specific line.
Absolutely, yes, we would.
Let's talk about our heavy industry tour brought to you by Savar Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide. We are heading to events across North America, Africa, and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsmen.com to be part of our Crownsmen's Heavy Industry World Tour. HF Sinclair, which includes the Petro-Canada Lubricants brand, is a proud sponsor of the show. Petro-Canada Lubricants products and services are proven to maximize equipment performance, productivity, and overall savings. From heavy-duty engine oils to hydraulic fluids, ATFs, gear oils, and greases, Petro-Canada Lubricants is committed to delivering innovative solutions that deliver value and keep businesses moving. They have dedicated technical expertise, knowledge, and know-how to help customers in the mining industry operate smoothly with improved equipment reliability and performance and help support a mining operations ESG goals. Learn more at lubricants.petro-canada.com or contact them at 1-866-335-3369 to arrange a call with one of their technical experts. With Fender Dunlop, you know you are getting the best conveyor belting in the market. That's because they ensure the integrity of their conveyor belting by monitoring each step of the manufacturing process in their North American facilities. Focused attention is given to each belting order to guarantee that they produce a belt that will assist the customer in reducing operation costs, maximizing uptime, and improving revenue. Visit FenderDunlopAmericas.com to learn more.
In Australia, you said about the so they're sort of they want to adopt technology, and I mean I've done so many episodes out of Australia now, and it is it the drive for innovation. There's something special happening there, and the way and I don't I've asked a question and had different answers, but it's just fun to see. Now, with MacLean Engineering in Australia, they've now launched quite a lineup. Now, I guess it's not just Australia if this lineup's available, but your BEV lineup, your series now, I was on your website. It looks like there's, I don't know, there might be seven or so product lines now in that system. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Just the product lines themselves?
My understanding, or most recent understanding, is that we have now more than 20 models available developed in EWP. We have 50 units now working out in the field, and 250,000 operating hours. That's mainly in North America, but we are starting to see that filter through now into Australia. We have just launched our first battery sprayer,
Mm,
shotcrete sprayer we call the SS5 into the market here. It's doing some great things. The battery side has been quick to a lot of the fears that uh, not fears, but a lot of the reticence that miners have about adopting this type of technology is kind of fading quite quickly, because once you actually get it underground, once you get the battery electric technology underground, it works quite well.
Yeah.
And the way that MacLean have configured the battery electric technology to go in line with the mine's existing electrical infrastructure. It's not a hard fit to actually get them to marry up.
What that shift you're seeing now, I don't know if this is specific to Australia. You can sort of answer it as broadly or as specific as you like. What do you see as driving? And I know this is a big conversation that's had, but just for your answer, what do you see as the big driver driving this shift to the EV? Again, specific to Australia or on a broader scale, if you want to answer it that way.
Jared, I've just come back from the Diggers and Dealers conference in Kalgoorlie last week, and it's quite striking how the language is changing significantly around ESG. It was ESG a couple of years ago. I think now minds are starting to realize that it's financially feasible and smart to actually adopt this type of technology to make cleaner working environments for their operators. They're all in a fighting after the same resources, essentially. So the miner who offers the best working conditions is going to be the winner in that environment. I could quote directly. There was a presentation by Matt Ducci from IGO, and I think you mentioned it earlier. It should be this transition should be fun, and Matt Ducci said that his team they're bold, passionate, fearless, and fun. IGO are one of the leaders in adopting this type of technology and taking battery electric from a theoretical into an actual a number of their mines here in the West, in Western Australia. So that's the kind of sentiment that we're seeing increasingly become prevalent in the industry, is that it's a valid proposition now to go to battery electric, as opposed to just a nice thing to do on your social media channels,
Right.
and get a little bit of a press release here and there that the technology is valid now to go mining profitably.
Okay, so let's give a special thank you to one of our longest sponsors of the show, Savar Equipment. And I'm actually going to hand it over to Jared so that he can give you a little bit more info on Savar Equipment.
Yeah, thank you. So people see them as sponsors, so they'll ask me, kind of who they are, what they are, and just trying to understand the scope of the company. So Savar Equipment is a mining supply company, and they're delivering on the whole equipment supply chain. So everything from the ore processing to underground mining, open pit. They're in hard rock and placer operations. And what they're doing is they're sourcing equipment from all over the world and then delivering it all over the world. Now, they are a Canadian company, so they're based there, but, let's say, they're selling entire ore processing plants. So there might be a plant down in Latin America, and there's a new mine that needs that plant in Africa or somewhere in the US. So they're facilitating that entire transactions. But they're also delivering, an individual conveyor or a concentrator or a pump package or just an electrical package. So it really is the whole gambit of the mining equipment supply chain.
Oh, that's great then. Well, then you definitely have to check them out if you're looking for mining equipment. Visit them at savanaequipment.com, where you will find more equipment every day. The metals and mining industry bears a significant responsibility for meeting the dual challenge of growing demand for resources and rising standards of living from an increasing global population, while also addressing the sustainability goals of the future. Aspen Technology is here to partner with industry leaders and help them achieve those objectives with solutions in areas of advanced process controls and asset performance management that utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning to optimize their mining operations for both profitability and environmental responsibility. With Aspen Tech, you'll not only reduce downtime and improve safety, but also minimize waste, lower emissions, and improve operational efficiencies. Their expert team is always available to provide support and guidance, ensuring that you reach your operational and sustainability goals. Aspen Tech, empowering the metals and mining industry to meet the dual challenge. Learn more at aspentech.com. Created and designed by industry leaders with decades of frontline experience, Sophie is a platform that brings workers home every day. Give your workforce the communication tools they need on the job to do it safely and productively. Visit Sophie.com today to discover how you can leverage Sophie to increase efficiencies, mitigate risk, and optimize collaboration. Safer, smarter, Sophie.
Yeah, and that is a pretty key part. Now, you said about 20 different product lines. I really didn't realize it was 20. Are there some recent ones? Are there, like, in the last, let's say, year or so, are there like your top five that have been recently rolled out, or anything like that? I'm just wondering, sort of, just sort of the recent of I don't when did you start? When did the how long ago did the EV start on the MacLean line?
The development started, I believe, in 2015,
Mm.
and the product launch was at the 2016 Mine Expo in Las Vegas, where we launched our first battery electric bolter,
Yeah.
from my understanding.
So what are some of the most recent ones then?
This would be the most recent addition to the range. We have a shotcrete sprayer, SS5. That's actually that's right over here. It's right next to me as well. Just getting some work done to it. We have a new version of our charging machine called the MC5 that will be here in probably 3 or 4 months into Australia. So that's and I'm speaking specifically about Australia here, Jared.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
then we have a battery electric rock breaker here, hopefully before the end of the year, and a secondary braking rig, our first battery electric secondary braking rig we call the block hauler. That will be here also before the end of the year. So
Wow.
yeah, things are really starting to pick up. We already have an ML5 sold into the market in Australia. Yeah, I think it will continue to accelerate at pace.
So this ML5, Peter, is it? Let's start with the safety side of it as a unit. Can you actually? No, I want to ask a question before I jump into that. It was about the mixed fleet. I'm just curious. Are these while these are going into the market, and you mentioned that there's one already out. Are these going into sort of mixed fleets, or how do you see them configuring? Are you seeing some they're going fully to electric? I'm just curious about what you're seeing as the market transitions, integrates, however you want to say that.
That's a really good question. We still think that the main market for the ML5 is probably going to be as a diesel unit, but the initial we could be wrong about that, and would happily be wrong about that. But the initial interest we've seen is in the ML5 as an EWP in its battery electric configuration, and there's a number of factors that make it a very attractive proposition for EWP. One of them is that it would fit very seamlessly into any mine that is currently operating as a primarily diesel mine. The ML5 as an EWP is a very easy fit into that mine. It doesn't cause many pain points in the day-to-day operation, and unless you are going to be running material up and down the ramp constantly all day every day, that might be a challenge that you would need to look at some of your infrastructure to negate. But as far as the day-to-day work that this machine does, it would be a very easy fit for a battery electric because it's got good range. It has if you're working in a level drive installing services, there is no reason to suspect you wouldn't get well over half a shift operating this machine, and probably the best part of a shift in the drive, because it's not a very high user of energy in its EWP mode.
Right.
So there's some of the advantages we see. I mean, and then once you get down into the actual mechanics of the machine and how it operates, and why we've designed it the way we have, the interest has been off the scale, in my experience, since I've been with working with MacLean for this machine.
And why specifically that machine? Why the interest do you see for that specific one?
If I could take you to a drive in a mine, let's say that you're installing services or you're installing, polypipe, installing electrical cable, you've either got to have, you've still got a diesel engine hanging off the back when you're working out of an IT. If you can switch that diesel engine off, you don't need vent. And quite often you don't have vent anyway, because that's what you're doing. You're actually going in and installing vent at heading. Mm. So if you don't need the vent because you've got no diesel engine running behind you, it makes for a much, much better working environment. You don't have diesel particulates to worry about. You don't have that excessive noise. It would be a whisper quiet machine to operate.
Right.
And a very comfortable working environment for the operators as well.
Right. It's probably more obvious to people that have spent a lot of time underground, but this is going in ahead, installing what's going to make the mine operating. So it's not, all the infrastructure is not in place, obviously, already, which is obvious. I just didn't kind of think of it that way. So if you're going in and even the silence is a safety thing, right? Even the quietness.
Huge. Just the operator, instead of screaming at the top of his lungs over a diesel engine, that's also screaming. He's just talking like we're talking, and he can hear himself perfectly clearly, even from the basket to the ground. It does make that whole working dynamic just a lot more easier on the operator. And the proof will be in the pudding. And further cliches like that. We're very keen to get this underground. Mm-hmm. This is not a machine that we're going to be selling up front. We want to get this through as many people's hands as we possibly can. Prove the concept up. Tell us where we're going wrong. I'd love to, and that's an open invitation to the industry. Come and talk to us. Come and kick the tires of this machine. Tell us what we've done wrong. And then if we can put it right, we will. But I think we've hit a lot of the very nice sweet spots that the industry will respond to with this machine.
Can you walk us through?
That's what we're seeing from the initial marketing studies we've done.
Can you walk us through some of those sweet spots? Again, I do these interviews, but I've been around machines, but I don't have your background. So for me and the audience, can you walk us through, maybe if you can approach it from just what it's equipped with, but maybe even some of the pain points that you've tried to eliminate with the design?
Let's say we are primarily competing with ITs to do the same work. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a 2-person cab. So IT is a 1-person cab. So you don't have to follow this machine around with a light vehicle for a second operator. So it actually, there's a light vehicle you've just freed up now to go out and look after whatever other parts of the mine that you want, because your operators now are both able to be transported in the ML5. Okay, I missed the most obvious one, which I should have been straight out the gate here, is that we designed this machine as an EWP first. So all of the Australian standards, AS 14, 18, 10, there was a guideline released by the EWP Association of Australia about how to use ITs as an EWP. They were basically reference documents that were used at the outset of the design of this machine. So all of that compliance is built in from the ground up, if you like. So it'll be full WorkSafe compliant. It will comply with the EWP Association of Australia guidelines. I'm going to keep going on here, Jared.
Yeah, no, please do. Please go on.
Some of the other features that we've baked into this machine, there's a human machine interface in the cab. It's a fairly big screen.
That I wanted to ask you about that. I was very curious about hearing more about that one.
Sorry?
I saw that when I was reading about the machines. I saw that, and I was hoping you were going to talk about that pretty soon, because I was very curious to learn more about it.
It has a human machine interface, which is just a screen that tells the operator exactly what's going on with his machine. So the standard dictates what the machine will do and what the machine won't do as an EWP. If you've got operators in the basket, as an example, and the operator wants to put the machine into an unsafe state, the machine will not allow that. It will not allow the operator to put it himself or the machine into an unsafe state. So if he's on too much of a slope, if he's coming off a decline into a drive, and there's a bit of a camber on the road that takes the machine into an angle it doesn't like, it will stop. It will say, no, you need to correct. Either put the boom into the center position, lower the boom, put the jacks down. It will tell the operator what he needs to do to continue operating. And that information is announced to him on the HMI screen. So he's not confused. He doesn't have to interpret any interlock states that the machine's in. The machine will tell him where he's gone wrong and what he needs to do to put himself right again.
Yeah.
So that is a key part of the design criteria that we envisaged at the outset. Well, this needs to be a very easy machine to operate.
Well, and you say it, and it sounds, it's beautiful, but because I've been on the other type of machine where it tells you that something's wrong. It's not telling you how to correct it. It's just saying no, this is getting dangerous now. So you go, okay, well, I'll lean this way a little bit, and then you start to stable out. It's like, it's not really a good solution, especially if you've got you've got tools and equipment up there, or you've got, venting systems, whatever you've got going on. You're now trying to correct something, right? But so you saying it's actually guiding the correction then? Do I have that right?
It's announcing in clear text form on the screen. Is the HMI screen. We can cut to some of that, I imagine.
Yeah. If you send it to us,
a bit later. But there's a decent sized screen in the basket and in the operator's cabin that will spell out exactly the actions that the operator needs to take to put the machine back into a safe state.
Wow. That's such a huge advancement in how these are designed now. So the operator then, they're operating again. I should just know this, but I just don't. So you can operate this you can move the machine around from the basket. I'm sorry if that's an obvious question, but I'm just making sure. Can you actually move the entire machine around? You're not just talking about the boom, correct?
100%. Yeah. The controls in the cabin, which is the operator's cabin, are duplicated in the basket. Identical controls. The difference is in the basket is that the speed of the machine is constrained by the standard.
Yes.
So whenever you press forward to go forward on the machine, the speed that the machine achieves is only what is defined by the standard. So you're not going to be able to run off at 20 kilometers an hour with the basket in the air.
Right.
It's an EWP, and it operates as an EWP when the operators are in the basket, and that's what keeps them safe.
Right. What about visibility? That's obviously a big discussion, especially underground. Have there been advances in that?
We've targeted, let's say, a couple of very experienced industry SMEs, like subject matter experts, or just grizzled old guys been in the industry for a long time and who know mobile equipment. And a couple of the comments that we've received from them along the lines of the visibility is the best they've seen in a machine of this class.
Wow.
We're very encouraging anyway, and it is quite with the curved glass MacLean cab that we've developed for these kind of applications. It's the visibility is quite spectacular from the front and the back of the cabin. Yes.
You said something about earlier. You were discussing like kind of a saying to the industry, if there's feedback, we want to get these into the market and we want the feedback.
Yeah.
That, I would imagine that for MacLean, it is a big investment. doing the R&D, the development, the design, the testing, getting people in them, getting them out onto the field, seeing how they're working, redesigning. And I'm curious the culture around that, because it's not easy to always be improving. I know companies throw that out there. A lot of people say it, but it's not an easy thing to do because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, and it's and it also, you have to then judge what you're going to focus in on, because if you've got 10 things to deal with, you can only do so many at once. So I'm curious about how you approach it, one, you personally, and how that integrates into how MacLean Engineering approaches it.
In North America and certainly the Canadian market, we have a flagship machine we call the MacLean Bolter, well over 500 units made. The engineering has been refined over the years to a point where it's a very, very well designed machine that works very well. Does its work very well. Is very well adopted across the market there. That Australia just doesn't like that machine. We don't have that flagship that we can take and put our front foot forward and say, okay, this is the machine that's going to lead the charge for us. So in North America, the MacLean Bolter. We believe in Australia it will be the ML5. We think there's a paradigm shift coming in the way that EWP work is done underground. We think this will be a significant change in the right direction. It will make mine operators' lives safer. It will be a better machine to operate. And let's not discount that. You said it earlier. You said something about the fun aspect. This will be a very, very enjoyable machine to operate. Very rewarding process for the operators to get in this machine and get out at the end of the working day. The voice isn't hoarse from shouting. They're not breathing in fumes. It's a flagship. I 100% believe that this machine will be a leader for us going into a variety of different mines, from the contractors who have shown interest to the owner miners who have shown a lot of interest as well. We think this will be a big machine for us in Australia.
And in that vein, how will you field the feedback as it goes out? I'm just curious how you approach it as someone goes, oh, this works great. Hey, could the next, if we had this, it would work. I'm just curious. I'll give you a real world example for us. When we have glitches in our production, it's a lot of times it's buying more cables and adapters and cameras, and it's quite an undertaking when someone wants a different setup than what we've built. And I'm curious how because it's such a big investment to get this on the market, how will you field the feedback from the industry as the Australian market adopts this machine? And they're going to have machines all over Australia. And I'm just curious how you'll facilitate those conversations with your clients.
The concept itself is fairly well established. Mm-hmm. So the way the boom lifts is, the industry understands that well.
Right.
What we've done, and we haven't talked about the boom slew yet, that capability of the machine. So
okay, yeah, we should. Okay,
just bearing that in mind.
Yeah.
We've only just started to touch on some of the advantages of this machine. So, as I said, just repeating myself, the concept is understood very well. And what we did is when we looked at the EWP market here, the challenge was, how do we do it better? So we've baked in a lot of improvements, we think, to that kind of IT model, and this is to your point now about how do we gauge the feedback, how do we improve on what we've done, because the control system, basically every cylinder on this machine, every movement on this machine, and every function of this machine, hydraulic and electric, is monitored, and it goes back to a control PLC. And that control PLC basically looks at each of the states and decides if it's safe, if it's not in, at a frame rate. I'm not sure. It would be a fairly high um, rate of calculation. Now, what that gives you is it gives you incredible control over how you manage that machine in any given scenario. And if the customers come back and say, no, it moves too quickly in this direction, or it does something funky in that direction, then we can fix that in the software. It's not a huge amount of
Peter, that's exactly what I was trying to get
pain
to.
point that we're operating. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what I was trying to do. I was trying to understand. So this machine, because of the design and the controls and like you said, every cylinder is monitored. It's not a client coming to you and you going, "Oh, we gotta redesign this whole section." It's about tweaking the operating of the machine.
Yeah.
Wow.
It would just be fine tuning and and a little bit of custom modification here and there.
Yeah.
But, we don't envisage a great deal of major component modifications that we need to do to this machine.
That's amazing. I want to try driving one of these. One of these days, I actually have to get over to Australia and actually be on some of these machines. I was going to. You said about the boom. You said we haven't touched on a couple. Let's keep going with some of these features that are on this machine that obviously the audience should know.
The boom itself is a similar configuration. It's got a Z linkage on it that keeps the basket level when you lift the boom up and down. Mm-hmm. Okay, which typically is on every front end loader and every IT that you can buy on the market today. So rather than it's foolish to try and improve on something that's very well established. Well, improve on it. We did. We said, well, how can we make that better? And the way we looked at it is that the IT will generally, and I keep referring back to ITs, but they'll pick a basket up with the men in, and they'll put it straight up and straight down. Mm-hmm. So if you've got to cover any kind of from side to side of a drive, maybe a 5 meter drive or a 6 meter heading, whichever, you've actually got to reposition that machine from one side of the drive, and then you've got to reposition the whole machine to the other side of the drive to get the other side, because you've only got a straight up and down boom lift. It just goes. What we designed into the ML5 is that boom now not only goes up and down, but it goes side to side.
Oh, nice.
So you can cover both sides of the drive from a point in the center of the drive without having to move the machine. So all the machine does is move forwards and backwards, and then you just slew the boom and the basket counter slews, so you can always maintain parallel coverage with the sides or the face of the drive, wherever you're working.
Wow.
So the upshot of that is you keep the machine away from the sides of the drive. You keep it away from the washouts and the runoffs. So any chances that it's going to lurch this way or that as it goes into a ditch, or where the grade has been, digging out a channel, it can avoid all of that because it always can remain in the side of the drive.
Wow.
In the center of the drive, sorry.
That must also give you a fairly added range as well, right?
6 by 6 meter drive coverage.
Wow. That's quite a difference. So right there, I mean, you're talking about a quiet machine. It sounds like I'm doing. I worked on boom lifts and stuff like that. So it sounds like I'm reading off a script and I'm trying to like plug your machine. And that sounds like, aside from being quieter and easier to operate and easier to tweak if you need a little bit of customization, it sounds like right there you're talking about. Because I've had to reposition machines before, and it is hugely time consuming. If you're adding on, I don't know what the percentage is of movement per placement, the efficiency of the productivity is just going to skyrocket. Like that's a huge thing.
Jared, I hope you can see why we're so excited about this
Yeah,
machine. Because exactly what you're saying there is the reason, that's why we think we're seeing the interest.
yeah.
And then once we convert that interest into seeing the ML5 work in the mining environment, we are, yeah, we're very bullish about the numbers for this machine.
Yeah.
Here's the rain.
Oh, is that was rain?
Yeah, that's the
Oh, it's oh we got sun beating down on us here. What was I was just gonna ask you something about? Oh, I wanted to I don't want to put you on the spot on this, but I'm wondering what the challenges of a machine like this. I'm sure the research, the R&D on this machine has been second to none. I'm just curious, as you actually try to get this into the market, you want to get it up to, you know, 50 machines, 70 machines, 100, as you know, as time goes on. I was going to ask, what is for the market, what is the key thing that you want to educate the mine operators about, or the contractors, the end user, as this product goes into the market?
These are some good questions. So it's mainly about virtually every mine operator in Australia knows what it's like to do EWP work out of an IT, and how much utility you get out of that machine, how it can be adapted to. It can do EWP work. It can do materials handling. It can pick up a jib or a set of forks, and it can transport pumps and cement around the mine. Oh, the ML5 can do that work as well, because it's got a Volvo quick hitch on it. Well, it's not even a Volvo; it's an ISO quick hitch, which is a like a European standard. So it will still take forks from a Volvo. It will take a jib from a Volvo that you already have on site. It will pick up that cement. It will transport that equipment and material around the mine, and it will knock the socks off any other AWP in the market. Basically, that's the education piece. Is
Yeah.
that it's not going to be a burden to have this machine on site. It will be a massive improvement in both the safety and the productivity of your people. It will make a safer working environment, and it will still do a lot of the grunt work that an IT does as well.
Yeah.
So
The yeah, no, it's really and genuinely that like again, some of my questions in this interview, I feel like I'm almost like setting up a plug. But if you've operated, and a lot of people that are watching the show probably have operated or seen these machines operate, you'll understand why I'm asking some of these questions, because the restrictions within machines like this, previous types of machines, it's quite something to all of a sudden now be able to do these things with a machine. Before we wrap up, I just kind of want the last question about the future of what's coming out. I think you said it's down up to 20 product lines now on the BEV side. And are there more products coming in the market? I'm not asking for an early rollout on the show or anything like that, but it never stops with MacLean Engineering. They're sort of known for it. So, without giving away any secrets, is there quite a bit more kind of coming down the line here in the next year or so?
again, I can't speak to all of it, Jared, but there are some developments within the company that would raise a few eyebrows in the industry, I believe. Just a point on particularly on the ML5 as well, is with this kind of technology and what we've designed into this platform. There is a heavier version of it. Is on the drawing board at the moment. That is one thing that we're likely to see in the coming years. Is a heavy lift version of this machine. But we've had inquiries for this machine from the surface drilling industry, and we've also had genuine inquiries from small electrical contractors who go to different mine sites and do full communication infrastructure
Yeah, it seems like
installations
it'd be a good machine.
and that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really know how big the market for this machine is yet, because we've developed it primarily for underground mining, but it's a front end loader with EWP capability. It's got uses in other industries and in other markets, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. It must be fun. It must be fun to work for a company. You know, I do a lot of interviews. And so, I see a lot of different types of companies, but what it sort of reminds me of, MacLean Engineering is, I don't know if, what were they called in World War II? The funnies or something? The machines that would go onto the beach. And they would do all this weird stuff to get the things out of the way, so people could actually get in through there. They'd get, and it sort of reminds me of that. MacLean Engineering is like, what they called the funnies? I forget the word it was used. And there were these crazy machines that would like get out, like they'd gather up barbed wire and stuff like that. And it's just so neat to be a part of a company. You've worked in the industry for 30 years. It just must be fun you're sitting in front doing an interview with a machine like that. Do you still enjoy it? I guess I'm saying this as a statement, so I'll convert it to a question. Is it still fun being a part of it?
Jared, you have no idea. This has been so rewarding to join our design team on this project, and from Australia and Canada, we've had everyone's had the chance to have their input. I think everyone's walked away thinking, yeah, this is special. We've done something good here.
Yeah.
And it's why we're very keen to get them out there. We're very keen. And yes, it has been enjoyable, hugely enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, Peter, thank you very much. I've kept you a while on the interview, and but it is a neat machine, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. So thanks for bearing with me as I sort of got all my questions in. We really appreciate, MacLean supporting our show and coming on and being part of us here in Canada, and then sort of connecting it with the Australian market. It's a real pleasure for us. So thank you for doing this third episode with us. It's special for us to be a part of it, and so sort of on behalf of Crownsmen, thank you for the support, and I hope this is certainly not the last time we have MacLean featured on the episodes.
Well, there's an open invitation, Jared, next time you're in Australia to come and operate one, and then I'm sure you'll see what we're so excited about.
It'll probably be a good example of why you need all the features you do to have someone like me operating it. But okay.
Keep it off the walls.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Peter. I hope we talk again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. Okay, and thank you everybody for watching. We've got multiple episodes that we've done with MacLean Engineering now, so you can go look up, if you want to find them, look up Crownsmen MacLean Engineering, and they'll pop up. We'll also put some links to the episodes so you can kind of find your way through. They just do. It's amazing equipment. I mean, if you're in mining, you know MacLean Engineering, but it doesn't get any less amazing, and they're one of those companies that just kind of keeps pushing it. So it's lots of fun. Thank you for everybody for watching, and we will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.